Well, good morning. This is Pastor Marvin Osborn, First Baptist Church of Birmingham, Ohio. I hope you're well today. We're in Galatians chapter 1. Paul is now beginning to rebuke the Galatians. These people were saved by grace through faith, and yet they allowed these false teachers to come in, these Judaizers to come into the church, who began to intermingle grace with works. You have to keep the law. You have to be circumcised. You have to do this. You have to keep all the ceremonial laws and that sort of thing in order to be truly saved. The Bible's very clear. We're saved by grace through faith. And so Paul rebukes him. He goes, "I am perplexed. I marvel that you so soon to embrace this false doctrine that violates the very way that you were saved. And so why are you embracing this?" And listen to what Paul says here. I think these are important verses 8 and 9. It says, "But though we," he's talking about the apostles. He's talking about himself. He says, "But though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed." Verse 9. "As we said before, so say now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that which ye have received, let him be accursed." Paul says, listen, this is how important the gospel of grace, by grace through faith, is. The death, the burial, and the resurrection is enough. And we don't have to add in anything in order to receive salvation. You could do nothing to receive salvation, and you certainly cannot do anything to keep salvation. It is a work of Christ and Christ alone. He says, but if I or any of the other disciples come unto you, or even an angel from heaven come unto you and preach another gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, he says, let them be damned to hell. Let them be damned to hell. He says they may be an apostle, they may proclaim to be an angel. He says, and he goes on to say, and as we said before, so now I say again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you, if any man, just not the apostles, or even an angel, or even so-called preacher of the gospel of Jesus Christ, a teacher, maybe someone on YouTube, maybe someone from your church, maybe from your denomination, someone who is a best-selling author, someone who sells out stadiums with their campaigns or concerts, or they're part of the largest churches in the world. If they preach another gospel other than the death and the burial and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, that we're saved by grace through faith, we're saved apart from works. If they add anything else to it, he says, let them be accursed or let them be damned to hell. That's how important this is. Listen, there are not a lot of things that that you and I should be willing to die for. Your church you may belong to a Presbyterian church where they sprinkle people or they baptize babies, but our church believes in baptism by immersion, all the way under, and you come up. Am I willing to die because we believe in baptism by immersion and you believe in sprinkling? No, I'm not going to die for that. Are you going to die on, whether you should meet on Sundays rather than Saturdays? No, I'm not going to die on that. But you know what you will die for? You know what I will die for? Is the gospel of Jesus Christ. Someone comes in like Islam, like the Mormons, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, like Christian Science. You kind of go through all these, the Advent and all these other ones that take the gospel and begin to add in dietary laws and different things like that, what they believe is necessary for salvation. These are the things we die for. You see, this is a foundational truth of the gospel. That's why Paul says, I don't care if the rest of the disciples come on you and tell you another way to get saved. He goes, I don't care if some demon disguises himself and comes in and proclaims that they have another gospel, maybe like the so-called angel Moroni, that supposedly Joseph Smith got the golden tablets from. That's a demon, although I don't believe it was true. I believe Joseph Smith was a flat-out liar and an adulterer and so forth. You go through the history of that, or the Jehovah's Witnesses or anything else. They add to or take away from what we know to be true about the gospel of Jesus Christ. He says, let them be damned to hell. Have nothing to do with them. Don't let them in your house. Don't let them in your church. Don't give them an audience for debate. Have nothing to do with them. This is a hill on which we die. If we give heed to this, if we allow false teachers to come in to that, then what you're doing is you've got people who think they're saved and they're not. And they're going to die and go to hell with those false teachers. And so as a good pastor, and I hope you have a good pastor where you're at, that we stand guard against these things. You know, unfortunately today with YouTube and television and books and radio and all these teachers, so-called teachers of the faith, that there's so many false teachers out there. And they wear nice suits. They have, $300 haircuts. They have this and they have that. They have their jets and they have this and that and other things. And they're wealthy beyond compare. They'll make more today than I'll make probably in the next 5 years in the ministry that I'm here. And they'll spew out their false doctrines, and so many people will follow them. Paul said, I marvel that you're so quick to follow them. Why would you follow them? Have nothing to do with them. Let them be damned to hell, Paul says. Doesn't sound pretty loving to me, but it's absolutely the Bible truth. You cut out a cancer because you don't want it in your body. You don't allow that cancer back into your church because that cancer will affect other people. Have nothing to do with them. This is Pastor Marvin Osborn saying God loves you and I love you as well. And I'll talk to you soon.